My name is Roy Kennedy, and I was born in a little place called Griffiths, and then I moved out to Darlington Point Mission, which opened up in 1936. I was born in 1934. I originally come from this mission here. This story is about my mission boys' dreams, and I had great dreams when I first came to Sydney, but when I soon hit the limelight with the fast lane, well, the dreams just went away and I just lost everything, so I just turned around and just went back to drinking and all that jazz, and the dreams never come true, so it just faded on me. And I never started doing any art till 98. I'm brought up in the Depression years, and that was side art of what it is today. So we had hard times. Mission people, Aboriginals all over, they had hard times. Well, that is the police station there, and these people used to rule our lives. They used to run our lives here. And as for the church up here, where are we? Back over there, the church, they were the missionaries, they went and brainwashed us. They used to coax us into the church and singing, Jesus loves me and all this jazz in the days of what chumps we used to sing all these hymns and laugh up and get a feed or something, a bit of bread off or whatever, and turn around next to an inspector to be chasing us through the bush and everything. So we had a rough life there, but a good life because we all communicated, we all lived together. They were our houses where we lived on the mission. Up above the police station there's the mulberry tree. As you can see, the old logs up there burnt out, like you know how they lived. Well, that's where my grandparents lived and all the old Aboriginals of the days, because they weren't allowed on the mission because they still spoke the lingo, the Aboriginal language. Because they was outside the mission, but they were down down the back of the mission, and they, like us fringe dwellers out in the back with their little canoes, and they lived off the river eyes. Us children used to go down and stay with them over night time, and they used to tell us the old stories, what happened to them in their days and all this jazz. And like we used to do all our things, and they taught us how to make canoes, and we made canoes and waddies and everything to go hunting and all that jazz, and they taught us how to hunt and how to survive and how they survived over the years when they was doing their thing before they settling down on the mission. We had no water supply on the mission. We had to walk down to the river to where my people lived down the bottom of the back of the mission. We used to carry those on our backs like the Chinese do. So that was the way we lived on this mission. We had a fence around our mission there, and you weren't allowed to go and come and go as you please on my mission. But we still survived, and we'd live in a whole community, but all our people would be together. We'd play like herd for one another, and we'd go and do hunting, and the whole people would cook up a big feed for the whole lot of us, and they'd cook breads and dampers and all that jazz around the place, because that's the way we lived. Work in the shearing sheds and whatever I can get at the time, droving, and that was my lifestyle. And I just turned around and just kept on moving around. But I've been off the drinking about 33 years, smoking 28 or 29. So I've been doing pretty good with me health-wise. And I just turned 80 just a while back, so I'm kicking into with the life's pretty good. I was walking past you one day and a cousin of mine was there, and I turned around and said to her, I said, can't we find better things to do? Well, he said, she said to me, why don't you go down to the Eora and join up at the Eora? Well, in '98 I started making a good name for myself in the art world, and I won 3 inaugural prizes in '99. That mural got put up there in 2006. Just goes to show you how far I come, like over the years. Like, you know, being an alcoholic, I turned around and went through the system, tried to better myself. I was away from the drink and smoking. I love me memories of the mission. Love to be around now and show them all this. They'd go off their heads.